Hello, I am going to show you how to begin rug hooking for beginners. These are the supplies you need. I'm going to go through them quickly. You have rug yarn. What makes this especially good for rug hooking is that it's a certain thickness. It's 3-ply, it's 100% wool, and it's not going to disintegrate or pill up or even pull out of your backing once you hook it in. You can hook with other materials, but they're not as consistent and they won't last as long. So this comes from Seal Harbor Rug Company, which I strongly suggest. They have over 200 colors of hand-dyed wool. You have your Oxford punch needle, which is like no other. This is a regular number 10. And the regular takes the thicker yarn, the 3-ply, and I'll explain why it's number 10 a little later. I always use this same one, and there's really no need to ever have to replace your Oxford punch needle because they're pretty much indestructible. You then have your foundation cloth. This is monk's cloth. I suggest it for beginners. It's the easiest to use, the easiest on your hands. It does come with these grid lines. It's just for you to help if you have to stretch it or keeping you in place. I like to use my foundation cloth. I put it on stretcher bars, which, yes, it requires a staple gun to go along the edges. So you do need staples, you do need the staple gun, and it's a little bit of work putting it on, and it's a little bit of work having to remove it if you're going to remove it from your stretcher bars after you're finished. If you were going to turn it into a rug, if you were going to turn it into a pillow. So the reason that this cloth has to be for rug hooking is because there's a certain warp and weft. There's tiny little holes, and that's going to keep your yarn in place, keep the foundation tight. Okay, so of course this is already stretched, ready to go. I also have a scissor because you need to cut your yarn, and if I want to draw out a idea, I have a Sharpie. Now you have to be careful when you're using your Sharpie because this is a stretcher bar and the stretchers are about this thick. So if I was to draw along the stretcher bars, I wouldn't be able to hook in that. So you don't want to see the marker in the final piece. So you're going to have to maybe grid off this space. Maybe draw a line around the perimeter so you know where you have to work. Okay, so I'm going to start by showing you how to thread your Oxford punch needle. Here's the needle, here's the opening. The slit is in the top. I'm going to take my 3-ply rug yarn, find the tail end. What's great with rug hooking is that you never have to cut small pieces. You can just go from the skein that you're working with. So I'm going to insert the end of the yarn through the top of the needle and pull it through. So it sits like this, and then very easily you just insert into the back like this. And to make this yarn sit inside the tool, you're going to simply pull it forward with this tail end and then pull it back. So create a good amount of, and then you're going to see how it's still not in there completely. You're going to just pull it back a little, and you might have to pull it forward again and then pull it back, and it should easily run in your needle. You only need a very small piece sticking out to begin. So there you go. If it comes out, you just put it back the same way. It's very easy to change yarn colors. You just simply remove it and you put the next yarn color in the same way. So now that you have your needle ready to go, you have your foundation cloth on your stretchers or your frame, and this is how you're going to begin to hook. You're not holding the tool so it's straight up and down. You're holding it at an angle with the slit or the slot side facing up and forward. So you're easily going to insert it into the backing. You don't have to look for a hole. It's easily going to find one. And you're going to press it all the way in until the wood handle hits the backing. Easily slip it out, and without pulling it up away from the backing, you're going to move it along a small increment, press it in again, take it out, Move it along. So you're moving along at very small increments. You're going to start off slow and you're going to build speed the more you do. But it does go very fast. And you can see I created stitches. In the beginning, you want to start off with them pretty tight, especially when you outline a shape or you do a border. And pretty tight means around 6 or 7 stitches per inch. I'm not sure what an inch is exactly. This is the flat side of your piece. The other side of your piece, and every time I stop, I'm going to leave my needle all the way in the backing so it doesn't pull out my thread. The other side is where you see the loops. And they look a little spread out, but the more you fill in, the tighter and more dense the loops are going to get. You can see my needle there. This is why you can never hook with it on your lap, because the needle will point right into your legs. So you always have to hold it off of your legs or off of the table. So if I am going to switch directions, I want the slot side of the needle to always point in the direction I'm going in. You don't want to have punch like this. You want it to be open. And I'm going to slowly move my needle along. I'm going very slow right now, just to demonstrate. But slow is good, and careful. If I want to, I could outline with my Sharpie, and then I would know exactly where I was going. So I'm creating an outline shape that I can later fill in by going either around or back and forth, or however you want to fill in. You don't want to skip over lots. You don't want to not be aligned when you're filling it in. You want to kind of fill it in a pattern. You don't want to skip over your stitches. Okay, say I was moving along. I'm going to change directions again. And I pulled it too far away from my backing. It's all going to pop out. This is not a good way to stop because it easily comes out. And it's easy to think that it's not going to be secure, your final piece, because it's so easy to take it out. But in fact, once it's all together and you've cut your yarn, the tension of all the rug yarn is going to keep it together. So not to worry. And if you're like this and it accidentally pulls out, there is no damage done to your backing. You can see a little evidence, but you're going to punch over that. And all you have to do is pull the yarn back to the very top. So there's no slack when you're going to punch again. You don't want any space like this. See, there it goes again. I just simply pull it back. And I can continue where I leave off.